If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavours to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. In proportion as he simplifies his life, the laws of the universe will appear less complex, and solitude will not be solitude, nor poverty poverty, nor weakness weakness. And that was said by Henry David Thoreau. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Igan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I'll be your host for the next hour. And well, the world just seems to be getting stranger and stranger as the weeks go by in 2013, and we have a situation that very much looks like a coup is about to take place or is in the process of taking place within the United States of America. And let me try to explain to you why I feel that a coup is taking place. And in order to do this, what we have to do is sort of step back and really look at the situation. And folks, this may take me a little bit of time to get around the whole lot, so I'd ask you to please listen to this entire broadcast. And if you're watching it on YouTube, then there will be 4 parts, and you can simply click the video response to see the next part. Or you can go to my channel and find a playlist, or you can go to thecrowhouse.com and you can check the radio archives and download the MP3. But I think that there is a coup being carried out in America right now, and I think that we can establish this very easily by simply paying attention to the details. So what do we see in America at the moment? Well, the whole Sandy Hook debacle is turning into quite a spectacle. We've got a massive amount of division throughout the community, people arguing, was this a hoax, was this not a hoax? We've got the mainstream media reporting on it. We've got people such as Gene Rosen now complaining that he's being harassed by Sandy Hook truthers. And it's also very predictable, isn't it, folks? But really, when looking at it, one should question, who is Gene Rosen? Why has he given different accounts of the event depending on the interviews? Why did he say it was a woman bus driver who was with the children to start with and later turned this to a loud man? Why is his story so full of holes? Why doesn't any of it add up? Why is the video footage of Gene Rosen rehearsing his lines on the internet? Why was that posted? Who posted that video footage? Why is there footage of him rehearsing his lines? Why was he even rehearsing lines on camera? Was he filming himself and someone stole the footage and posted it? What's it doing there? Where did it come from? Who made it? How did it get on the internet? What is the purpose of it, if not to stir up questions in the community? Why is everything about Sandy Hook so blatantly obvious? Why is the footage of Robbie Parker smiling and laughing before he puts himself in character for the news story on the internet? How did it get there? Who posted it there? Where did it come from? Why does it exist? If it was recorded on a news camera, then how is it that that footage made it to the internet to begin with? And if someone simply recorded it from the television as it is, then why did they include it in the footage on the news? Why would they leave something like that in there? Why have there been all of these things put in place to make it obvious that there are actors involved, to make it obvious that so much of this event was staged? I mean, you can't tell me that these people don't have the skill and the resources to actually pull this off properly so that people can't tell that so much of it was staged. But there's so much about this event which is so obviously staged and so obviously contrived and concocted that it's almost like they're teasing the population, they're pushing, and they are waiting for a reaction. So what is it really about? Is it just an attack against the Second Amendment, or is it actually something a little bit more sinister? Personally, I think that the footage of Gene Rosen rehearsing his lines was put there simply to create all of the questions that it's created. And I think things have been made so obvious simply because the powers that be knew that it would whip people up into a frenzy and it would cause people to start harassing those involved, people such as Gene Rosen. This is why he's getting harassed This is why some of the alleged parents are also being harassed. This is why anybody involved with the case is being harassed. They made it obvious because there are certain people within the truth movement who may be a little bit unhinged and may react adversely to something as obvious as what we've seen posted about all these people. They want you to harass them. And they've set this in motion because they need an excuse. They need to put in place a mechanism with which to vilify members of the alternate research community and to present these people to society as people who are somewhat unhinged, a new group of enemies to watch out for. These are people who are a threat to society. Anybody who questions the government, this is a threat to society. Look what they're doing to these poor people who just lost their children, to this kindly man who just brought these children into his house. These crazies are harassing him. That's why they've made everything so obvious, because they want people to harass them. Who knows, most of the harassment is probably coming from government agencies. They probably do this themselves as well. And I wouldn't put anything past these people, folks, but I think they've made things this obvious specifically because they wish to vilify the truth movement. And I really do think that this event is far more about vilifying anybody who questions the government and whipping society up into a frenzy to do it, and painting anybody who suggests that things may not be the way the media tells you as an enemy of society. And I believe that it is more about pushing towards a civil war than it is about gun control. I think the spectre of gun control and the obviously staged events that we've just seen leading up to it at Sandy Hook has been done this way because it isn't gun control that the government's pushing for, it's confrontation. The government wants conflict. The government wants civil war. This is why we've seen all of the Lincoln rhetoric surrounding Obama of late. This is why the FEMA camps have been built. This is why Homeland Security has recently purchased so many hollow point bullets. This is what it's all been leading to, folks. And I truly do believe that it is a push towards civil war. I think the government wants the people to react, and that's why everything surrounding this case has been made so blatantly obvious. They know that the alternative research movement is going to pick up on it all, and they are taunting you, just like a bully in a schoolyard. And this is a very heated issue, folks, and people get very passionate about it. People are in a state of mourning for what they perceive to be dead children, and then you come along and tell them that it's all a conspiracy and a big hoax by the government to steal our guns, and things can get quite heated, and quite an argument can develop. Things can sometimes even get aggressive, and when that happens, then these mainstream people see those who question the government as a real threat to society. They really do perceive them to be people who are unhinged because they've never really looked at the evidence. They don't know what's out there, which is causing all these people to question the official story. Because people in the mainstream, people that just buy into the media and believe everything the television tells them, are not going to go searching online for things such as Gene Rosen's rehearsal video. They're just not going to be looking for these things. It's only the conspiracy theorists that would even be looking for this stuff in the first place. And so it's just another wedge in the community. Divide and conquer, my friends, that is the methodology, and that is exactly what we are seeing in this case. So therefore we have all of these different factions within society fighting and arguing amongst each other. We have all this violence breaking out amongst people when they're even having discussions about it, and so we see a further dividing of the community because very few people actually sit down and discuss these things. You'll find that even the truthers are very, very agitated that people aren't awake, and you'll find that those who are asleep are very, very agitated that people would be questioning their belief system. So it does become very confrontational, and this is all planned, folks. They love that energy. They love to get society whipped up in that energy because it just makes government so much more appealing to the people. I mean, you don't need government in a society that runs smoothly. So if there is no problem, then the government will always whip one up because they need the people to be dependent upon them. And the people are not dependent upon government if they live in a free, open and abundant society. They soon realize that they don't need government. So Government is always whipping up little factions and whipping up as much enmity as it can amongst the people of its society, because that thereby creates a need for control, which thereby creates the need for government to begin with. And due to all the negative publicity that the alternate research into Sandy Hook is generating, I wouldn't be surprised if this also leads to further questions about internet censorship and limiting what people can and can't do on the internet. This, of course, follows hot on the heels of the death of Aaron Swartz, the man who started the program to stop SOPA, who was recently found dead in his apartment, having been pushed to suicide by the powers that be, if indeed it was a suicide. But he was found dead in his apartment, and he was apparently facing 30 years in jail at the hands of the system because he downloaded some PDF files, hacked into a company and downloaded some PDFs, which he didn't sell, didn't really do anything with, didn't make any profit from. He simply downloaded some PDFs. I mean, this is ridiculous, folks. This is a jail term worse than what you would get for raping a child or murdering someone. And this just shows how sociopathic and psychopathic these people are towards anybody who questions their authority. And of course, their authority is fictional. It only actually exists on paper. Perhaps some noise could also be made about the public prosecutor that decided it would be a good idea to charge Aaron Swartz with a crime, even though the company that he hacked into did not press charges against him, and who decided that his sentence should be 30 years. Perhaps we could charge this person with being a sociopathic moron and ask him why he places the needs of a corporation above murder of a child and above a rape and above all of the terrible things that could be committed against people. How come these people get such short sentences and small sentences, and yet someone who committed a crime against a corporation for which there was no injured party and no malice done should receive a 30-year sentence? Perhaps we could question that as well and charge him with something and lock him up for 30 years, as he so obviously deserves. These people just seem to be intent on enslaving the populace to a paper-based reality. And this can be further exemplified by Obama believing that he may even be able to sign an executive order on gun control. I believe there are many people within the United States now who are drafting articles of impeachment in this case. There are even many people calling for Obama to be charged with sedition. And this is precisely correct as well, folks, because this is an attack against the foundation stone of the United States, and the people need to pay attention. I mean, I think the guns are a great deterrent, but I don't think the matter should be approached by way of confrontation, because such confrontation can only ever lead to something like civil war, and I don't think the matter should be approached through civil war. Civil war will simply bring about the situation that the government wants, and this is what will be used to lock down the society. I mean, sure, if it comes down to the wire, then there's a good chance that people may be put into a position where they have to defend themselves, and if that happens, then they should, by all means, defend themselves. But I still believe it's best to explore all the peaceful options until all such avenues are completely exhausted. And don't think about American troops coming and fighting against the people at home, folks, because most of the American troops are abroad. What will be used will be United Nations forces and multinational forces. There's something like 10 or 15 countries that have got forces in America undergoing training at the moment. All of these forces could also be deployed. So there are plenty of foreign military forces within the boundaries of the United States already that could be brought to bear on this situation were it to break out into civil war. So it wouldn't necessarily be Americans firing upon Americans. It could be something very different. And I think most of the threat that the people face isn't really from the military, it's from the militarized police of the United States. A lot of these people are extremely dysfunctional, they're extremely sociopathic, and they have very violent tendencies, many of them, and so that is the real problem. But I still think that through public awareness and eloquent dialogue and public meetings and articles of impeachment, the matter can still be dealt with peacefully. And it is still my great hope that this is the path that will be chosen. I think there are still many peaceful options open to us, folks. I really do. And I think the best option that people have really is to wake up and to realise what they are, and to realise what the government is, and to realise that all we're seeing here basically is people farming.